Welcome everybody, and thank you for watching this recording on how to achieve 100% in Gatsby Benchmark 1. Now, this session should take no longer than 45 minutes and is designed to supplement all of the work that you are already doing to meet Gatsby Benchmark 1, which is of course a stable careers programme and arguably one of the most important benchmarks that we have. Now, this session was designed in tandem with the cheat sheet documents that we've sent out with the presentation. So do have a look at those documents because I make many references to the resources on there. I'm going to walk you through them as we go through this presentation, and you can also find them in the notes section underneath the actual presentation itself. So do have a look at those. So it is an expectation of the Department for Education and a target that all of our schools and colleges in the careers hubs are achieving 100% in 3 Gatsby benchmarks by the end of this academic year, and this must be including benchmark 1. So they want all of our schools and colleges to achieve 100% in benchmark 1 by the end of this academic year. And I'm not saying this to scare you, it's normally little minor tweaks here and there that can aid in this and actually enable a school to get to 100 or a college to get to 100% in Gatsby Benchmark 1. And we are also here as enterprise coordinators to support you every step of the way. So I understand with the benchmarks, it can sometimes seem a little bit overwhelming with the amount of sub benchmarks that schools and colleges need to meet in order to get that 100%. So what we've done is actually broken down benchmark 1 into 3 main components. So benchmark 1, all it is testing is your ability to build that strategic careers programme, also the school or college website, and the feedback and evaluation and how that feeds into the strategic building of that careers programme moving forward. Okay, so we're going to talk through all of these 3 things today and take you through loads of resources that actually can help you with these 3 things. First off, though, why are the benchmarks actually important and why do they exist? So in general, and a bit of research was done to kind of prove this, adherence to Gatsby benchmarks in general, so the whole 8 of them, shows many increased positive post-16 outcomes, including a 9.7% decline in the proportion of students who would be considered NEET. So it really goes to show that the benchmarks do work. Benchmark 1, more specifically, can provide that kind of foundation for careers provision across your school or college and supports you to link the careers provision to your vision and your priorities and your school or college improvement plan. A stable careers programme can also play a part in promoting social mobility for the benefit of young people themselves, their family and the wider society by opening the doors for all young people to the opportunities that exist for them. So the Department for Education even say themselves that great careers guidance provides the first rung on the ladder of opportunity, helping everyone to achieve their full potential. Now, developing a progressive careers programme that is shaped and driven in a strategic way enables your students to make well-informed decisions about their future steps or their next steps, such as education, training, apprenticeships, employment opportunities, and also supports them to cope with any challenging labour market conditions, such as what we have been through for the last 2 years. So it really does go to show how, it does reflect life, that careers programme. Equality for all is also important when making decisions, no matter what your options are, and the equity within that as well, to make sure that everyone has the right to make the right decision for them. What does Gatsby Benchmark 1 and a stable careers programme look like in practice? So what does good actually look like? So every school or college should have an embedded programme of career education and guidance that is known and understood by students, parents, teachers, governors, employers and other agencies. You may have a careers programme, but is it understood by those key stakeholder groups? Every school or college should have a stable, structured careers programme that has the explicit backing of the senior management team and has an identified and appropriately trained person that is responsible for it. So that is really key. Having governors and your senior management on board can do wonders, and that is something we can help with if you feel like you're struggling with that in your own institution. The careers programme should be published on the school's website in a way that enables students, parents, staff and employers to access and understand it. Is it understood? Is it fit for purpose? Is it actually what happens within the school or college? These are things that are really important to think about. And the programme should be regularly evaluated with feedback from students, parents, staff and employers as part of the evaluation process. So you can see a bit of a pattern here with our key stakeholder groups. Providers of technical, including higher technical education, vocational education and apprenticeships should be given the opportunity to engage with students and their parents so that all routes at 16 and 18 are fully understood and so that students can make informed decisions at key transition points. So that is the provider access policy. That is a statutory thing for schools, having that provider access policy, also known as the Baker Clause. And colleges, it's also really important that students understand the options available for them for their next best steps. So before we move on, I just wanted to point out that there is a Bible of careers and enterprise company resources that you can use, and I'm sure a lot of everyone on watching this is already aware of these. So I'm just going to really quickly show you what I mean. So the Careers and Enterprise Company Resource Directory really is a first port of call for all careers leaders in any resources that you might need. So this is what it looks like, and it's linked in the notes section under the presentation and also in that attached document as well. I won't go through every single resource because there's loads and loads of resources, but this is what it looks like. These are all the resources that it has. So depending on your stakeholder group, so say for example you are a careers leader, click in here. You can go down and have a look at all the resources that are out there. So if you're more of a careers leader who's getting started or you're reviewing your careers programme, you might want to have a look here, but then you can also go down to the Gatsby benchmarks themselves, and there's resources for every single benchmark. So yeah, really do have a look at this because there's so much great stuff on here that it's really key to actually making things happen in practice. So do have a look at this. And a lot of the resources today that I'm talking about do come from this this website. So do have a look at the resource directory. So benchmark 1, and looking at that strategic careers programme and those objectives that we spoke about, the strategic side of things. So the questions that relate to this are the following. So does your school or college have a careers programme that, 1, is written down, is approved by the Board of Governors, has the explicit backing of senior leadership, has resources and funding allocated to it, is regularly monitored, has both strategic and operational elements, and has a lead person with strategic responsibility for overseeing your school's career programme, also a careers leader. These are all the questions when you do your Compass report that are key to this strategic side of things. Cool. So if you're sitting there thinking, I think our careers programme could be a little bit more strategic and actually fit into our school and embedded in our school a little bit better, then you might want to have a look at the strategic documents that exist on the Careers and Enterprise Companies Resource Directory. So there is this document, for example, that relates to, is your programme written down, and it also kind of embeds the programme into the vision of the school. And this is taken from Teach First resources as well. And it kind of aligns 4 key points that you should work through as a careers leader. So number 1, what is your overall vision for your careers provision? So a concise, ambitious and inspiring statement that articulates the wider vision of what the school's career provision aims to achieve for students should be kind of included in this careers document. This should reflect who you want your students to be and should make reference to your school's vision statement again, so embedding that into the school culture and in the school values. It's great to, if you have an enterprise advisor, do involve them with that process of shaping and clarifying the vision of your careers provision on that strategic wider level. So that's the first one, the vision. So number 2, reviewing your current provision. So this can be by doing things such as completing a Compass report and seeing where you currently sit within the Gatsby benchmarks and where your gaps might be and where your strengths might be. You can also carry out a SOAR analysis, which obviously stands for strengths, opportunities, aspirations and results. Also look at the local context, so labour market information, any growth sectors, any further education or higher education provision that exists in your local area, and see where you kind of sit geographically within the country and where your strengths are in your region as well, or your weaknesses. Collecting and reviewing evidence, including feedback, careers knowledge and skills, education, engagement and destinations data. So actually finding the evidence that is out there already and looking at where you already sit and the evidence that you have. So your key strategic objectives, and then it is important to identify between 3 and 5 priorities for your strategic careers plan. And we recommend that you identify objectives which relate to the development of careers provision in your school or college, and that you identify at least one whole school or college objective as well. So what are your actual objectives for your careers programme? What kind of things do you want to meet? And then coming up with an action plan, which will highlight how to achieve your strategic objectives, how you're actually going to go about this, and include timeframes, responsibilities, and any evaluation plans as well. So I know I rushed through that a little bit, but I've got a great example that you can have a look at in your own time, which is the following. So there's an academy called Walker Riverside Academy. As you can see, this is the document that I've just referenced. So obviously it's quite a long document, so I'm not going to go through it all, but as you can see, it's really, really detailed and goes through their careers program from start to finish, and their vision, their objectives, the plans that they've put in place, and how they're actually monitoring and evaluating the program. So do have a look at this in your own time, because it is really, really great document to kind of work from as a best practice example. So this references all the Gatsby benchmarks underpinning everything, as you can see, and looking at where their strengths are and weaknesses are, their current state of where things stand, and how they want to improve, backed up by that data, how many NEETs people they have or students that they have, and yeah, just really, really kind of putting their school under a fine-tooth comb, and really reviewing where they are and looking at their strategic objectives. Obviously, I've gone through that quickly, so do have a look at this document in your own time, because it is a really great example of that strategic careers program. And even if you feel like your careers program is great, and it probably is, there's always room for improvement, there's always room for review, and moving with the times as well, and the labour market that exists out there, and moving with that. Great. So secondly, does your school or college have a careers program that is approved by the Board of Governors? So do you have any evidence that your career strategy or your careers plan has been approved by governors? And this most likely will be the minutes from a governor meeting. A really great way of doing this is having a link governor for careers, someone who has that kind of seniority and responsibility for careers, and ensuring that the governor board is prepared for Ofsted and having that senior level support and oversight of the careers provision. So there is a video and an online CPD module that governors can do, which is in that attached document, and the links in the notes section here as well. And it kind of allows the governors to learn about careers and how important they are, and kind of the work that you do as well, and getting that support as a careers leader. If you are sitting there thinking, I don't have loads of support from the governors or senior leadership, that's definitely something that your enterprise coordinator can support with in those conversations with governors or senior leadership as well. So to the next point, does your school or college have a careers programme that has the explicit backing of senior leadership? So are the SLT fully on board with your careers programme? Do they understand it? Do they back it? And do you have evidence for this from SLT meetings or anything like that? So a way to get SLT on board, if you feel like they're not fully on board, is to frame conversations around the wider picture of the school. So the school improvement plan, Ofsted prep, and how Ofsted will come into schools and look at careers and things like that, and the Gatsby benchmarks, and also using feedback and data to show strengths and maybe areas of improvement, to show the workload that you have and support you can get from them in order to make things happen. So there is a video explaining how Ofsted may explore careers and inspection that can be found linked in the notes section underneath the slide. And a guide for education leaders can be found as well on the statutory guidance, the checklist that exists, and the key priorities for a school or college in terms of that careers provision on the strategic level. There's also some really great CPD training getting ready for Ofsted, the next one taking place on the 21st of March, which shows key themes that follow local Ofsted inspections, and you can sign up to that training by the link in the notes section. It's also on our Padlet board as well, and I really recommend doing this. It's really great CPD training and gives loads and loads of information about what to expect and how to ace that Ofsted inspection in terms of careers. It contains what a deep dive might look like as well, and how this insight can be used to support careers leaders to prepare for inspections and use this to actually influence the SLT engagement that you have. You can even invite them to the CPD as well if they would be interested in it. So it is a really popular workshop, so do sign up to it as quickly as you can, because it does get filled up super quickly. But yeah, really the senior leadership backing is all about framing it in the language that they want to hear. So all around those stats and figures, Ofsted, school improvement plan, looking at Gatsby benchmarks, those kind of bigger picture things, and really understand. So next, does your school or college have a careers programme that, one, has resources and funding allocated to it, and two, has a lead person with that strategic responsibility for overseeing the careers programme / a careers leader? So resources can be in the form of many things. It's not just money. It can also be people power and staff. It can be money and budget. It can be delivery, resources and time. And being honest with the amount of time that you can commit to careers is key, and really being honest with how can you do your job effectively if you don't have enough resources to commit to it. And as I said, those resources can be many different things. So it might be worth, if you're sitting there thinking, I really don't have enough time to commit to this, I need more time, it might be a conversation with your line manager about that, and actually being honest and being like, I can't do my job effectively because I just don't have the time to do it. Is there any way we can overcome this? And do you have a careers leader at the school? And I think most schools and colleges do. And if the careers leader is not a member of SLT, who is that link SLT member? So who is that person who does have that oversight in the senior level as well? So does your school or college have a careers programme that has systematic monitoring in place? Is the next question. And there's many questions that I want to ask you to really reflect on. So firstly, how do you monitor impact? How do you monitor impact? How often is this reported to senior leadership governors? Are they aware of what goes on? How often do you update staff about the careers programme or what's going on? Are you being honest about areas of improvement, and do you use Compass results to inform your future planning? And I know at the moment Compass Plus only exists for schools, but using Compass Plus is a great way to actually monitor what you're doing and keeping track of these things, and allowing you to report that back to SLT. And next, does your school or college have a careers programme that has both strategic and operational elements? So strategic elements can include things such as the vision, the objectives, the roles and responsibilities, and where you are in your current position, such as, your Compass results and your destinations data. But then also those operational elements as a result of this. So are you taking any actions against any key objectives? Are there year or key stage programme breakdowns? Do you have any key delivery partners such as the ARS programme and apprenticeships and things like that, or key events? It might be good to visualise your careers programme and your journey on a roadmap, and these can be found on the careers and enterprise company resource directory, and there's a document on the screen there that might help you to do that as well. And these templates can be really useful to summarise the careers programmes on your school website and as posters around the school, so that those stakeholders do know what is happening. So hopefully that has given you a little bit more insight into that first element of Gatsby Benchmark 1, the strategic careers programme. So hopefully you're feeling a little bit more confident. Now, most schools and colleges do meet this part of the benchmark, but it might be worth actually sitting down and thinking, do I meet this as effectively as I can? I might meet this well enough for a Compass evaluation, but can I make this even more effective in my school and embed that careers programme into the school or college? So the next part is your school or college website. So the questions you will get asked about this in a Compass evaluation is, does your school or college publish its careers programme on its website? And is there information on your website about the careers programme that is aimed specifically at students, teachers, employers and parents and carers? So those are the key stakeholder groups, as mentioned before. There's a little differentiation as well with colleges. So is there information on your website about the careers programme aimed specifically at other agencies such as local authorities or other post-secondary providers? Now, the careers section on your institution's website is the window to the world, including for employers and Ofsted. So you can encourage more employers to take part in your careers programme through your website, and you can also give Ofsted comfort in your careers provision by having all the required information on the website, and also additional information to support the Gatsby benchmarks and stakeholders. If an employer wants to come in and access the school, wants to support you, or Ofsted are going to come in and do an inspection, the first thing they will do is look at the website. And if they're going to deep dive into careers, they will look at the careers part of the website. So do make sure it's as effective as it can be. And ensuring it's up to date is also key. So ensuring that the careers programme is up to date, and any recent events are on there, any case studies, things like this. It's really great to include and make sure that is up to date. So in terms of statutory minimum requirements, these are the things that schools and colleges must or should do. So schools and colleges must publish the name and contact details of the careers leader on their website. They must publish a summary of their careers programme that can be accessed by students, parents, teachers and employers. It's not always recommended that you publish the full careers strategy document, as it will have a lot of information that may not be relevant, but you can do that if you'd like. A summary of one should include at least the following, such as the delivery of independent careers guidance, how the school or college is working towards achieving the eight Gatsby benchmarks, your aim, your objectives, and the activities provided for each year group. It should also publish how it measures the impact of the careers programme on students, and this is a key theme at the moment, is that impact and evaluation, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And also publish the school's next review date of the careers information that is published. So schools also, it's statutory that schools publish a provider access statement, also known as the Baker Clause, which sets out the arrangements for training and educating providers to access all students. So when we're going back to our next best steps, students need to be exposed to the range of options that are available to them, and this is really, really key and something really important that Ofsted do look for as well. So making sure that you have that provider access statement on the website is key. If you need some help with this, there is a document online which is linked in the notes section, so do have a look at that. And as I said, Ofsted are really hot on this and making sure that in practice you do actually let providers in to access students. So going through some examples now. So a really great example of careers information that's aimed at students and learners can be found on the Priory School website. It's got a really great section about what students can expect from their careers programme, and it's really simple and really set out nicely, so it's really clear as well. So have a look at that if you would like some more information on that and how you can then utilise that in your school, something similar. An example of careers information aimed at parents. So this is from our wider network, and this is Soham Village College. Their whole website on careers is actually really good, so do have a look at this as well. And they've got a recorded presentation for parents about post-16 options. And this is great. It's a great example of how to hit that key stakeholder group, explain what the careers programme is and what happens, and also how the careers programme is embedded into the school and what their students can expect, and what parents can expect as well. It's also a great chance as well to try and get parents involved and parents and carers involved in the careers programme for things like mock interview days. You also have a great employer network through parents, so do use this as well. It's a great example of how to do this. Careers information aimed at teachers and staff. Now we get a lot of questions about, I don't think the website is the best place for information aimed at teachers and staff, and I totally understand that. And if you do internally share information about careers, that is absolutely fine and great. But it's also good to have a section about careers for teachers and staff. For example, the Glyn School in Epsom, they have a great way of doing this, and they actually have resources on the website that teachers can use based on careers in the curriculum. So if a teacher did, for example, want to teach about careers in their curriculum, there is ready-made resources that exist on the website. So do have a look at that. An example of careers information aimed at employers, and this is really key, comes from the Castle School. Now this is a SEND school, but even for mainstream schools, this is a great way to do it. So it really does state clearly kind of what they would like from an employer, how to get in contact with the right person within the school or college, and how to actually access the school and the specifics of what they would like. So having something like this on your website would be really, really great if you haven't already. So some general best practice examples of websites from the local and wider network are listed here. So do have a look at these in your own time and look at the strengths of the website. Now we're going to go through Glyn School's one now, and I just want to show you what their website looks like, because Karen at Glyn spent loads of time and effort on this, and she's done really, really well. So I just wanted to go through it. So as you can see here, Glyn School's website is really, really in-depth and has loads and loads of information that is really, really impressive, I think. And it's got all of these different subheadings as well. So careers in the curriculum, GCSE options and useful links, future careers and pathways after GCSEs, after A-levels and things like that, parents and carers resources and guides. So you can see that it really does hit all of those key stakeholder groups. Also mentions events such as National Apprenticeship Week, what apprenticeships are, work experience, virtual work experience. So it's really in depth, and you can see how effective this could be both for a student, a parent, a teacher, and an employer looking in on the website, as well as Ofsted looking at this website. They would be super impressed with this. So do have a peruse of this, because it's really, really great. So for colleges and the careers information aimed at other agencies such as local authorities or other post-secondary providers, it doesn't need to be anything massive. It literally just needs to be a sentence on the website, and like the employer information, it could just say, if you are an employer or other agencies such as local authority or other post-secondary provider and you want to get involved with the careers programme, this is how you do it, and how you can support the programme. So it doesn't need to be anything huge in terms of that. And a great example of some student and parent engagement from a college actually comes from Reigate College, which is in our local network. So Reigate College have an information bulletin directed at students. They also have a portal for parents with information about pathways, opportunities, and any practical matters such as application procedures, timelines, and student finance and things like that. So a great way to do that is to do a bulletin like Reigate College do, and yeah, it's really, really great example of best practice. There's also some other examples of great websites within our careers hub for colleges such as Nescott, East Surrey College, Reigate as mentioned, Chichester College Group, Greater Brighton Met College, and Colliers as well. So do have a look at those, and they are linked underneath the slide. So we've gone through the school or college website. Now, a great way to actually review your website is to get your enterprise advisor to support you with this and actually look at your website as an employer from the outside looking in, seeing what strengths there is it clear enough, any improvements they would make, and actually coming up with a bit of an action plan if you feel like your website could be improved a little bit. And if you don't have an enterprise advisor, you can also just get your enterprise coordinator to work through that with you, or someone within the school or college as well. So the last section is feedback and evaluation, and the questions you'll get asked on this in your Compass report is, does your school or college evaluate the effectiveness of its careers programme at least every 3 years? Also, does the evaluation of your careers programme take into account feedback from students, teachers, employers, parents and carers? So those key stakeholder groups, again, are being mentioned in this feedback section. So why do we evaluate? It's really important that our key stakeholder groups and the feedback and evaluation that they provide actually goes back into the system and implements changes in our careers programme year on year. There's many different reasons why you would want to evaluate. This might be for Ofsted requirements. So Ofsted will come in and measure the quality of your careers programme and how you know that it's working and doing what it should be doing. You might also be looking to gain evidence towards careers quality assessments and things like that, such as the Quality and Career Standard, and they will ask for evidence of evaluation. But fundamentally, feedback and evaluation is important for the students, and feeding that into the careers programme will enable it to be as good as it can be and make sure that students are able to choose their next best steps. There's a range of evaluation methods that we can use, and ultimately it's all to benefit the students and their future prospects. So the cycle of feedback is so important. So we might have our careers plan or program, we might deliver the events, but then what do we do and how do we know that these events have been effective? How do we know that we should run it next year, or do we need to improve it next year? So it's important to collect that feedback data and then evaluate it. What does it actually mean? And then review and reflect and actually input that back into our careers plan and our program moving forward. It's really, really key here. But how can we actually go about doing that in practice? So it's really important that feedback and evaluation is embedded into your careers program, and students know that they are going to be asked the feedback, and parents know where to go to give feedback, and employers can give feedback on the program and things like that. So it's important to be clear about your aims and objectives of every single career activity that you run first. So prepping the students on what they do. If they're attending a careers fair, do they know why they're there? Do they know what they need to do while they're at the careers program to make it most engaging as possible? Then it's important to build evaluation opportunities into all planning of career programs and activities. Keep all the feedback and evaluation evidence in one file for easy access, and then include evaluation and reflection time as a regular agenda item in all meetings. You should really embed that into your meetings that you have with any line managers or senior leadership, and actually come up with, or even your enterprise advisor, and actually come up with an action plan of how we can constantly improve based on this feedback. And feedback and evaluation doesn't just have to be surveys. There is a misconception that it's always rich survey data that we need to do, but it doesn't have to be this. Of course, surveys are valuable and can play a big part, but there's many creative ways that you can gain feedback on your careers programs. And it's important not to only just gain feedback on the events themselves, but also your strategy and your program and your website and things like that. And there's many ways that we can collect feedback and evaluation, and this is not an exhaustive list. And there's this document I've linked underneath on the notes section. There's many different things, and there's loads of different types of feedback. So as listed here, face-to-face feedback, it can be things like red, amber and green cards from students. Did they enjoy the event? You just get them to show a card. Post-it notes, one sentence feedback, or question slips, things like that. If it's a virtual event, doing polls, or following up the event with an email, or using a Padlet page or a quiz, things like that. Surveys are obviously really great. If you do get a chance to do that, and the stakeholders are receptive to that, you can do this on paper, electronic, or face-to-face. You can also gain qualitative feedback as well, such as email conversations or verbal conversations, any focus groups or case studies, asking the student council or the parent teacher associations, or through networking events and things like that. And you can also use quantitative measures that already exist, data that already exists, such as Compass or destination data, or skills assessments, matching your careers program to the CDI framework, and just self-assessing where you're at as well. And as you can see, there are different methods of feedback that may be more suitable for some groups than others. So for example, red, amber, green cards, great for students, but you probably wouldn't do that with parents, employers or governors, and vice versa, just as an example. But there is loads and loads of ways that you can gather feedback on your careers program and the events that you run. So definitely do this. It's really key, and something that Ofsted are really kind of hot on at the moment is how you're measuring that impact, and how your careers program and how your careers program is fit for purpose. So definitely have a think about your feedback and evaluation strategies and how you can implement some of these things into your careers program. Another great way as well of getting employee feedback is actually using your enterprise advisor, and getting them to actually feedback on your careers program. So definitely use them if you have one. There are also lots of ready-made resources on the careers and enterprise companies website, so you can have a look at these. Let me just show you, for example. So as you can see on the CEC website, there's loads of ready-made resources that you can use to actually gather survey data more specifically. So for example, if you wanted to evaluate your program with a student and the whole careers program, not just an event, you can look at this document, literally ready-made. You can use this and gather that data yourselves. Or if you wanted a key kind of event feedback, looking at something like this, virtual encounter, using surveys such as this. They are ready-made and you can go out and actually collect that data yourselves. It's really important to act once you've gathered this feedback and evaluation data. So what are you going to actually do to update your careers plan accordingly? Are there things out there already that exist so you can kind of go through with a fine-tooth comb what you need to do? So for example, does your own destination data show that there's a lower than national average of students that are going into apprenticeships, and therefore do you need to include more information about apprenticeships in your careers programme? Stuff like that. So you can also use data that is already out there. And remember that evaluation of impact is way more important than did the young person enjoy the workshop or the event. It's the actual so what, it's the bit after that. So what impact has the activity had on the young person's skills or their knowledge or their attitude? And longer term, has it had an impact on the progression routes or the employment options that they've taken up, or the routes that they want to go down? So it's not just did they enjoy it, it's kind of what happens after that. Has it changed their thinking about things? And hopefully that has gone through a little bit about feedback and evaluation and given you a bit of food for thought about how you might want to implement some of these things into your careers programme. So last but not least, just a reminder about Compass and filling out your Compass reports once a term. Compass is a great way to see where you're at in terms of your careers provision and any kind of things you might need to improve or any gaps you might have. A great tool to use is Compass Plus. If you don't already use it, it automatically allows you to track all your careers events in one place and see kind of where those gaps might be. And it's a really, really great system. So if you haven't onboarded to that, please do as soon as possible. And also just a reminder to check our Padlet board. We update this pretty much daily and it's got loads and loads of resources on it that you can use to help you. So we split this up by what's new and events, any CPD as well. We also split it up by the benchmarks. So every single benchmark's got loads and loads of resources underneath about the benchmark and how you can implement this into your own school or college. And then we've also got some case studies of best practice and examples of schools and colleges that have made impact, as you can see here. So do have a read through these because there's loads of great stuff on there. And then some more stuff such as T-levels and stuff about inclusion and SEND and disadvantage. And yeah, just make sure you have a look at that because it's got loads and loads of stuff on it. Finally, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions on anything that I've mentioned today or any other support needs that you might have, do contact your enterprise coordinator and they are more than happy to help you. If you feel like you might need a bit of an action plan or support with an action plan in order to reach that benchmark 1 at 100% and 2 other ones at 100%, please do just get in touch with one of us and we are more than happy to help you. I hope that was helpful and see you soon.